a day that I will appreciate my country.
Di mana bergabungnya Sabah dan Sarawak dengan Semenanjung.
The 16th September is the One Malaysia Day, right?
Nothing like really, just a holiday.
I only know about the 31st, the National Day.
It's a celebration of Malaysia coming together.
Malaysia Agreement 1963.
Okey, yang tu tak ingat lah bang.
The only agreement I remember is Perjanjian Pangkor.
It seems like Malaya doesn't care, yet it calls itself Malaysia.
As long as we do not care about our history, we will never get things right.
Anyone who doesn't have history have no future. There was no institution at that time in Borneo that can ascertain the views of the people. Probably at that time we don't even know how to question on our rights.
The Cobalt Commission concluded that the people of Borneo were in favor of Malaysia, but they wanted some safeguard to be put in place. Some of the safeguards include freedom of religion, immigration control, protection for native laws and customs, and autonomy in civil service. On the 9th of July, 1963, the Malaysia Agreement was signed and Malaysia came into being on 16th September 1963.
Akan kekal menjadi sebuah negara demokrasi yang merdeka.
After Singapore left the Federation, this protection of one-third representation in Parliament was lost. So from then on, they bulldoze whatever laws they want.
As signatories of the Malaysia Agreement, Sabah and Sarawak are the founding partners of Malaysia. But in 1976, the constitution was amended.
We formed Malaysia because we want to form Malaysia. But instead, in 1976, the clever people in KL go and put Sabah and Sarawak into Malaya.
And if the intent was to minimize Sabah and Sarawak into just a mere state, then it is wrong.
Minister of International Trade and Industry Darrell Liking raised this question in Parliament when he was part of the opposition.
They said they amended it to make it into alphabetical order, which I find kind of strange.
The Sabah and Sarawak parliamentarians who voted for the amendment turned down our interview requests.
The Sabah MPs at the time did not do their job. They should have objected. The state government kept quiet. Likewise, Sarawak. So we cannot blame anybody but our MPs and state government at the time.
The 1974 Petroleum Development Act granted Petronas sole and exclusive ownership over the petroleum in Malaysia. After its enactment, Sabah and Sarawak only receive 5% in oil royalty despite producing 60% of the country's petroleum.
Why did Sarawak leaders accept it in the first place, accept 5%? You see, during that time, we did not have the expertise. We did not even come up with the capital. So therefore, we accepted whatever was given to us.
Despite being oil-producing states, Sabah and Sarawak are not as wealthy as their peninsular counterparts.
For many people in Peninsular Malaysia, there really is no understanding of the lack of development in Sabah and Sarawak.
Our rural folks are still without clean water, electricity, without roads, without health care. So the oil revenue is not retained in Sarawak, but goes to Petronas and the federal government to fund the massive development in Malaya seen over the last 40 years.
When the Territorial Sea Act 2012 gave Petronas more control over its operation in the Borneo water.
Before we had 12 nautical miles, and suddenly, after that, there was a change to 3 nautical miles, and it was not even approved by us, by the state government.
These are just some of the contributing factors to Sabah and Sarawak's growing dissatisfaction over the Malaysia deal.
We have been cheated for more than 5 decades. Just for example, our 40% that is supposed to be given to Sabah It was never given to Sabah since 1964.
In 2015, a national steering committee was set up to study the devolution of powers to Sabah and Sarawak.
We have the law that allows us to protect our minerals. It's our oil, it's our soil, it's for us to decide.
One of Pakatan Harapan's election promises is that they will restore the Malaysia Agreement. After 55 years, just how feasible is this?
If you said that the financial arrangements were not followed since 1963, the quantum of money owing to Sabah and Sarawak, there was no way they have that pot of money to pay off.
Jawatankuasa khas kabinet yang akan dibentuk, di antara terma rujukan yang telah diberikan mandat kepada jawatankuasa ini ialah untuk menyemak dan meneliti hak Sabah dan Sarawak.
So there have been various committees. We are kind of already immune to it. I must say that the federal government, had not bothered for the last 55 years. Okay, we hope that the Pakatan Harapan government will do better.
What do you hope to see with this new committee?
I hope the committee will look into and go into further details with Petronas, how we can correct the revenue sharing, whether or not we have been fairly treated as well.
Don't make a U-turn, because if you said you expect to do it within 6 months, you must have calculated it.
MA 63 tu ya. Saya ulang balik ya, kalau ada kita terambil ataupun sengaja ambil ataupun terambil hak orang Sabah, kita nak pulangkan balik.
The right to petroleum and revenue justice.
The Malaysia Agreement was one of the hottest issues campaigned by politicians from both sides during the recent general elections.
The reasons why the Malaysia Agreement is coming back in a big way was, so for 2008 and 2013, it was actually the MPs, the Barisan Malaysia MPs from Sabah and Sarawak that allowed UMNO to hang on to power. Why do you think the federal government will give you a public holiday now in September? So I think we really require the population of Malaysia to understand its own history and not allow history to be hijacked by vested interests.
So the people should continue to speak up. They should not remain silent. Push the OIB, assemblyman, do something in the State Assembly. Push the MP, say something in Parliament.
As long as we do not care about our history, we will never get things right. Because the school history books never really explained it, then that disconnect will continue.
What you have to do is actually to confront it, reflect on it, so that the future generations will not make the same mistakes as the previous generation.
Anyone who doesn't have history have no future. Within that context, do you want our young to have no future? We want them to have even better future. If we can prepare the groundwork now for them to have a much better future, that's our legacy to them.